We're going to resume with our shopping cart. I've added a few more products to my store. Doesn't really matter as long as you have at least 2 or 3 in there. So we've scaffolded out a couple of controllers here. We have categories and products controllers, and they're just using kind of the built-in create, read, update, delete functionality. I think we modified them a little bit. We're going to leave those, but we're going to make a new controller, but this one we're not going to scaffold. We're going to make a shop controller, and it's going to contain all of the logic for the whole shopping and checkout process. So we're going to build this kind of in pieces. We'll build a method and we'll build a view. We'll get that working, then we'll move on to build kind of the next method, next view. So I'm going to right click on my controllers, and I want to add a controller. But this time I just want an empty controller. And I'm going to call this one shop. So the URL will be domain/shop, and then the various views. Doesn't really matter what you call it because it's not tied directly to a specific table in the database. So I'll call it shop controller. And it's just going to give us an empty controller with an index method to start.
Are there third-party services that will create startup pages for F2019? You know how you have a security like user page, can you buy carts?
Well, it would have to be connected to a. Could you buy a cart service? Yeah, for ASP.NET, probably yes. Yeah. So here's what we get. We just get an empty controller. There's one method called index. It's also not, if we just compare this to say the categories controller we scaffolded, a couple of things are different. The first one is when we scaffold with Entity Framework, our methods are asynchronous. So we have async and task, and then we use the await function. When we just scaffold an empty one, we get synchronous code. Doesn't really matter whether our code in this particular app is synchronous or not. So I'll probably just leave this as it is. But the other thing we got when we scaffolded was we got an instance of our database connection, our context. Our shop controller is going to use the database as well, so we manually need to put this connection in here. So what do we got? So I want to create an instance of our database class whenever so it's global inside our shop controller. And it wants us to make a reference here to our models. When I add this reference on line 5, so this line should be, it's exactly the same as what the scaffolding generated for us. Or we could copy and paste it. It's the exact same line of code. Yep. Yep, we're recording. Thank you. Now the other thing we need, so we notice we have this connection. We also have this line, this block of code. So this is added automatically when we scaffolded our categories controller. Our products controller has the same thing. So we're going to create this special method called a constructor. For those of you taking Java, you already know what a constructor is. What's a constructor? Anyone who's in computer programmer should know this. You should know this from semester 1. What's a constructor? Dustin? Right. So method used to create an instance of this class. So whenever this class is created or invoked, it's going to follow the same pattern, and it uses the name of the class, which is our shop controller. So the class name and the name of the constructor are the same. That's how you know it's not a regular method. It's used to create an instance of this class. So if we look at our constructors in our other two controllers, what happens here? They each take in one parameter. They take in our database connection class and they connect to the database. So we need to do the same thing. So we're declaring a local variable, local instance of our database. Whenever this class gets created, our connection object gets passed to it. So it automatically is connected to our database. Without this here, we have no database connection. This makes our database connection available to all the methods in this class. So this stuff was automatically generated for us in our categories and our products controller with this entity framework scaffolding. Because this class, this one is not connected to any framework, we manually have to do this stuff. Otherwise, our controller has no ability to talk to our database. So we've got an index method here. We're going to put a shop link in our navigation bar. So what should the user see? What should we show them when they click on shop? What's the first thing? What would maybe be step one in the process? So we're okay, so we're going to add a shop link here that anybody can see. They don't have to be logged in. We could show a list of products, or what would the other option be? But we might want to show the list of categories in case our product catalog gets really large. So on our shop index view, we want to use our category model to go and fetch the list of categories and display them to the user. And we'll make each one of them clickable so the user can click on the category. So in here, so before we return a view, we're going to use our category model to go and fetch that list. And we'll pass that list back to the view. So we'll use our context object, .category. We'll order them alphabetically. So we're going to generate a list sorted alphabetically of categories. And then we want to send that data to the browser. So we're going to load a view called shop/index, and that view is going to have all of this data. So it's going to run at that URL, our domain/shop. So we have this method. We don't have any view to load. So if I build and run this right now, we're probably going to get a 404 error. I'm going to go to localhost/shop. We'll see what we get. Okay, so that would be a problem up here, I think. And you need to reference the model's namespace in order for your database connection object to work. So have a look. It's still not working. So here's what we get. It's not actually a 404. It says there is no view. We've got a method called shop index. It's trying to load a view called shop index. We don't have that. So we can build our view this way. If I right click where it says index, or double click to select index and pick add a view, our view name will be called index. We're going to use one of these templates. Which template are we going to use? Yeah, let's use the list because we want to display a list of categories on this page. So what would our model class be? What type of data are we going to display? Yeah, we want to display a list of categories. So I'll pick from the model class, I'll pick category. And I'll make sure my layout page is checked off so it gets our header and footer. So we'll leave the name as index, the template is list, and the model is category. Now we're going to want to make some changes to this page, but this will give us a starting point. This will actually give us a functional page that displays the categories. Our template is list, our model is category. So this should build a shop subfolder inside of views, and it should add our index view. So here's my new shop folder with one file. And this just looks like a regular kind of scaffolded page. It's got create, edit, and delete. We're going to need to make a bunch of changes here. But now if I go and refresh, it should load something. What does it say? Okay, and is there any log in the bottom? Does it point to a specific error anywhere? Okay. Yes. Okay, you've got a red underline here. And what does it say? And what, when you mouse over it, what does the little tooltip say? Okay, it says object does not contain a definition. Do you have a reference to models up at the top of the file? Okay. So check this section here as well. Check that section I've highlighted in blue. I'm just going to have a look at my page for a minute. So here's our page now. It just basically looks like our categories index, right? It's scaffold, it's the exact same thing. Obviously, we're not going to show this page to a shopper. Not looking like this. What things should we change here? There's a whole bunch of things we should change. Well, can you add a category to the cart? We can't add a category, you can only add a product. But if this page, so I'm going to just log out. Lara, I haven't forgot your question. I know you're not the only one with that error. I'm just leaving that code up, and if you're still having the error, I can have a look. So I'm going to go back to my shop page for a minute. So what things would you change here? Or are we good? So this is a page for anybody to come to the website and shop our site. Is this page done? Okay, what's one thing? You're saying no, so what's one thing you would change on it? What's wrong with it? Okay, so yeah, we do want details. So what things should be removed from here? Edit and delete and create, right? A public user shouldn't have access to change any of the categories in the database. So we're definitely going to need to delete. So these links, we're going to get rid of all of them. We're going to get rid of our create new. I'm going to change the title. It says index, which is not very helpful. I'll change both the page title. So this will make it a read-only, which is what it should be. I know I took out the details link. Don't worry, we'll put it back in a different format. But it's also still in an HTML table. The table is useful for an administrator to see a list and do add, edit, or delete. We can probably present this in a little better format. So I'm actually going to delete the table entirely. I'm going to delete the table and the heading row. And all I'm going to have is my for each. And we'll add some other wrapping here. So we're going to strip this down a lot. So above my loop, I'm going to move my loop inside this. So in here, we'll use Bootstrap's column system. We basically want to display the categories in rows of 3. So each category will take up a third of the screen. So if we have 6 categories, we'll get 2 rows of 3 rather than just stacking them. And Bootstrap also has a class called a card. So I'm going to use that. And we'll center them. And I also want to make them all the same height. I'm not sure what this is going to look like. We'll see. So I actually want to display my category names in here. We'll see what this looks like. So we don't need a table. I'm just going to check it, see how it looks. We may need to play with it a bit. Yeah, something like this. So the card gives it the border. We've used text center. So if we have more categories, they'll just repeat. Now, user can't do anything. There's nothing for them to click on. So maybe what we'll do is we'll make these links. So I'm going to redo what's here. So we'll use our shop controller. We'll call in method we're going to create called browse. And we'll pass in the name of the category. So this will turn our category names into links, and they will link to a method we're going to build next, which is called browse. Still not working?
No.
Okay. So now these are links. They don't go anywhere yet because we don't have a browse method, but we will. So our browse page is actually going to look very similar to this page, except instead of categories, we want to display products, but only the products in the selected category. We're not displaying all the products. They'll be filtered based on which link the user clicked on this page. First, they pick a category, then they pick a product. And then we'll add the add to cart button. So Francis, you're thinking the right way, you're just a couple steps ahead of us. So we'll get there. So our next step is going to be, we need to build this browse method that takes in the name of a category and queries the database and goes and fetches all of the products in that category. And then we'll build a very similar view to this, except instead of displaying a list of categories, it'll display a list of products. And then the user can click on any product, see all the details, and add it to their cart. The other thing I'm going to do right now, there's no actual way to get here. I have to manually go to /shop. I want to create a shop link in my navigation bar that we'll call the shop index method. So that way, no matter where I am in the site, I can shop. So I'll open up my layout file. And this can go maybe after, doesn't really matter. I'll put it after our about link. It can go anywhere. So our ASP controller is shop, and our ASP action is index. And the text on my link will say shop. While we're in here, we'll put one more link on here. We also typically, if we're going to let users shop online, we typically expect in the nav bar a link that they can go to their cart from anywhere. So we don't have the cart page yet, but we'll get it. So while we already have this file open, let's also create a link to the cart. Doesn't go anywhere yet, but it will. Aria, did you resolve that issue? Okay. So in this case, the action will be cart. So that doesn't exist yet, but it will. So now the user can go to the main shopping page to get the list of categories. they can also go to their shopping cart no matter where they are in the site. So we wanted to add both of these links to our navigation bar. Blair, I will come and have a look when we take a break. Okay, there is a fix, but I have to think about what it is. So now if I go back home, I should be able to get to my shop page from my navigation bar. So now I can shop. So our next step is to build the browse method in the shop controller and then build the browse view that will display a list of products from the selected category. So I'm going to call my method browse, and it's going to take in a parameter called category. Because we're not going to show the user all the products in the product table. We're only showing them products for the category they clicked on our main shop page. So we used our category model in index to get the list of categories. This time we want to use our product model. So here we say dot where our product category is equal to the category that the user clicked on. And again, we'll order by product name. Oops. Whoops. Sorry, I missed this. So where the category of our product, where the name is equal to this value. And again, we'll sort them alphabetically. And we'll return a view and pass in the list of products. So we're not getting all the products, we're getting a subset of them. The user click printers, we don't want to show them laptops or desktops. We only want to show them the products in that category. I'm going to build because we've made changes in our controller. And then we're going to need to make a shop browse view. So I'm going to add a view. I'll right click my method name and I'll choose add view. I guess that we can pick the list. And what model should we pick this time? What are we showing on this page? A list of what? Yeah, a list of products. So product should be the model. Yep. So we'll make a list of products, and then we'll delete most of the HTML because it's going to give us a table with create, edit, and delete links. we'll basically copy and paste from our index, and we'll have the list of products in the card using the Bootstrap card classes. But we'll set it up this way, so we're doing a list of products. So our model is an IEnumerable, a list of products. It says browse. I'll just change this to I'm going to change the H1. I'm actually going to take everything else out of here. Then I'm going to copy from my index view here. So I'm actually going to just delete everything. Everything after the H1 is gone. I could have, yes, the other option would be, yeah, well, the benefit was that at least it gave me the model declaration automatically. So yes, I could have created it as an empty view, but then I would have manually had to put line 1 up there. I was debating which way to do it. You could do it either way. Yeah, right. Either way is fine. You could create an empty view, but if it's empty, you got to make sure you set up the model that this view is expecting a list of products coming in. That would work. So I'm just going to grab this whole thing and dump it in. So the only thing I'm going to have to change is line 17. So instead of going to an action called browse, so this is going to display a list of products. And then we want the user to click on a product and get basically the details. That's where our add to cart button is going to be. We could put an add to cart right on this page. The problem is there's no place really for a user to specify the quantity. So we'll do that on a separate page. This is just going to give them the list of all the products. So we're still in the shop controller. We'll maybe call this action product details. And instead of passing in a category, we're going to pass in a product. So this page is going to look identical to index. It's just showing product data rather than category data. The format of them is the same. So all I've done is change this and change this. So now it should look something like this. So we're going to get another grid, hopefully displaying all the products. Not too speedy this morning. Okay, so now I go shop. So now I get the products in this category. I go back and pick a different category. The one other change I might make here is it doesn't actually say the name of the category. no matter which category I pick, we just have the same heading. We might want to include the category name in the heading so the user knows what they're looking at. So this is where the view bag might come in handy. We've passed in the category name here. We could stick that value in the view bag and then we could include that maybe here. So it would say shop our laptop collection, shop our desktop collection, etc. So I'll go back to my method. So store the selected category name in the view bag so we can display in the heading. This is, you guys did this in lab 2. We passed along the category and then we stuck it in the view bag so we could display it. So I'll add that line to my controller. And then we can add this viewbag.category value somewhere in the H1 tag so that that category name is still visible when the user is looking at the products. So if I go back to browse, our category names are plural, so I'll maybe just put it in here this way. So it will say shop our desktops, shop our laptops, shop our printers. So populating it on line 34, and we're displaying it here in our H1 tag. So I'll go back and start the process again. We'll go to the shop. Now I think we have a field in the database for the product images. We never got around to dealing with the product images. If we wanted to, we could display them. I know from marking your lab 3 that most groups figured out how to display those images from the file path from the database. So if we had images, we would do it. I don't have them right now. If we have time to do it another day, we will. We probably are not gonna. So this product collection should get replaced by the selected category name. So now I can pick a category. And the name of that category should display in the H1 tag. Very, very slowly. Right, so that's what we want. We're using viewbag here. So whatever category we pick, it shows up. So again, I modified line 8. I displayed that value with viewbag. And I added line 34. Sorry, you want to see the view? Here's the view. So we've done 2 steps, basically parts 1 and 2 of the cart. Give them a main shopping page to pick a category, let them pick a category, and then give our shopper page to see the products in that category. So based on line 17, what are we going to have to do next? There are at least 3 or 4 more steps in the process. What will come next? Right, we're going to need to build a product details method and a product details view. What's going to be on that view? What would the user need to see on that page? Yep. So they'll definitely need an add to cart button. What else will have to be on that page? Yep, they're going to need we're going to need to let them choose how many they want to buy. Right, and we're going to want to show that, like right now, they only see the name. We didn't actually include the price here. That might be a good idea even on the main page, right? The user right now, they would have to click on any product to actually see the price. We could actually include the price here as well. Might be a good idea. So maybe we'll do that. Let me just put in, let's see, item dot price. Maybe just put it in a small heading here. So we've got the product name as a link, and then underneath it, we've got the price. Probably a good idea not to make them go into the product details before they can see the price. Because if they don't like the price, they're not going to bother going into the product details page. So we'll add the price. So then we're going to create our product details menu. Our product details method and view, and that view will include both the ability to choose a quantity and an add to cart button. So if I just refresh, we should get the prices showing up here underneath. And we also want to format those as currency. So, okay. So we can just use a little string formatting here. This 0:C is Microsoft currency formatting. So we'll wrap the price with a currency format. And if you refresh now, you should get a $sign in front of your prices. Now, some sites will also give you an add to cart button right here. But as I said, the problem is you're only getting one. They don't typically have in the product list the ability to choose a quantity. So we'll leave the add to cart to the product details. So I've added line 17. So we get it centered underneath where the product name is clickable. The price is just static HTML. So ideally what we want to do with the time we have left is I'd like to do two more of the steps. We definitely want to do the product details page. This won't be that difficult. We're going to pass in the name of the product, just like we passed the name of the category. We'll go and select that one product, and then we can scaffold out a new view using the details template based on the product. So it will automatically build us a view that lists all the fields of the product. And then we need to add the ability to choose a quantity, and we need to add an add to cart button. So we should be able to do that. And then what we want to do when the user clicks add to cart, we want to be able to save that product. We want to be able to save it here. What product did they pick? How many? What's the current price? Because the prices might change. And who is the user? And then we want to display all the items in their cart on a shopping cart page. So I'm hoping we'll take a pause here. I'm going to go run and grab a coffee. We should be able to actually get all that working today. We won't have the checkout done, but we should be able to shop, save to the database, and go and view the cart where it shows a total. And then we can work on modifying the cart, checking out, we can do that next week. Okay, I will push what I've done so far to stop the stream. I'm going to run and get a coffee.